Hello, everybody. Today we're going to take an updated look at the 2024 general election. I just took a look at the primaries for the Democrats and the Republicans, but today it's going to be the main event. So we're going to spend some time on Wikipedia, and I'm going to start to scroll through here. If you want to get some info on the background, the procedure, the redistricting process, it's all going to be right here. Down under that, there's also the major campaign themes. That's all important stuff, but the main thing I'm going to focus on in this video is going to be the most likely matchup. That's going to be Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Those are also the same two candidates that most Americans are not at all a fan of. They do not want this matchup, but it is by far the most likely. There's a remote chance something does happen in one of the primaries, or something could come out with Biden's health or Trump's trials. But to make it simple, we're going to keep the focus on Biden and Trump. Now, the other thing we do have to factor in are the third parties. So for that, we could switch over to this page. Right now, the biggest person not named Biden or Trump is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He tried to run in the Democratic primary. It didn't pan out. Now he's running as an independent, and he's going to be trying to attain ballot access. There's a whole lot of debate about who Kennedy is going to take away more votes from. We'll come back to that in the polling, but this is all going to be key over the next several months to see who gains ballot access. This also lists the American Solidarity Party, the Prohibition Party, as well as independent Cornel West. He is apparently on the ballot in Alaska. West is another person regarded as a progressive on the left, so there is fear that he could take away more votes from Biden. Now, if we go down further, we have the Libertarian Party. That's a party that I think more people fear will take away votes from the Republican, but there's also the possibility that those voters would just not turn out for anybody if their candidate was not on the ballot. Now, you also have to keep in mind a nominee is not locked in place yet. I'm not sure how much it's going to matter, but it's the same thing if we go down here and take a look at the Green Party. Jill Stein, you might remember that name from 2016. She also entered this race not too long ago, and the Green Party, especially Jill Stein, is something that haunts Democrats. Some of them think she took votes away from Hillary Clinton, thereby giving the White House to Donald Trump. Some of those people probably would have voted for Hillary. I would say more so than Donald Trump. I think it's similar to the Libertarians, but you also have to consider how many of those voters would have just stayed home if Stein was not on the ballot. If you keep going down further, there are other potential third parties. The most high-profile one is going to be No Labels, and there's been talk about Senator Joe Manchin and former Governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan, teaming up. If that happens, that's again more fear from the Democrats that it would hurt Joe Biden. So if you're a Democrat not satisfied with Biden and you want somebody else or somebody more progressive, you're going to have alternatives in Cornel West, Jill Stein, and maybe even Joe Manchin. If Larry Hogan is at the top of the ticket for No Labels, then I think it could flip and it would hurt Donald Trump. But all those other people are going to be viewed as a threat to Biden, and if they could help it, they would not want them on the ballot. It's going to be the same for the Libertarians and Trump. And as for Kennedy, I think both sides are fearful he'd hurt them more. So until it becomes crystal clear that he would hurt one more than the other, I think both sides probably aren't going to draw a lot of attention to him, and if they could help it, they would probably also not want to see him on the ballot. I think a lot of people like third parties until that party would hurt their preferred candidate, then the story changes. And I get it, if you have 7 or 8 candidates on one ballot, it can be cluttered, it could spread it out so much that somebody might win with only a plurality. There's a lot of arguments for ranked choice voting, etc. But in summary, with these third-party candidates, it's all going to be about ballot access. It's a big deal, and there's always some underlying litigation if you search hard enough. So we're going to have to see what happens with that. In addition, we also have to see what's going to happen with Donald Trump and his ballot access. I would expect the Supreme Court eventually to get involved with the cases in Colorado and Maine, but if Trump can't be on the general election ballot in any of these states, that's going to be a significant development. So with the candidates out of the way, let's talk about what the important states are. Well, it's pretty much going to come down to about 5 or 6 states. It's not going to be Ohio and Florida anymore. This table breaks down the states that don't have a consensus for being safe for one party or the other, and the ones that are widely expected to be a toss-up are Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, potentially also North Carolina. So this is expected to be a close election with a narrow electoral college margin either way, and it could easily be another razor-thin margin in several of these key states. Now, while we're here, we can glance over the debates. The Commission on Presidential Debates announced they will host 4 of them. That's going to start in September. It's far too early to say who's going to be at those debates. Both Biden and Trump have neglected to debate in their primaries, so they might be going into that a little bit rusty, especially for Biden because Trump already is pretty much campaigning. He's out there holding rallies. He's got the energy, so there's going to be more concern with Biden. And we also don't know if any of the third-party candidates are going to make the debates. Could Kennedy get on the stage? It's a long way off, But if he did, that could also shake up the race. So what are the issues going to be for this election? Well, there's any number of different polls I could pull up. Here's one from a few months ago from NBC News. This shows you some of the key issues and which party voters think would do a better job. When it comes to border security, that's a massive advantage for the Republicans, 50-20. They're also leading significantly with crime, the economy, and immigration. They're even leading on protecting our constitutional rights. It's very close on looking out for the middle class and protecting democracy. Democrats have the advantage on education, coronavirus, abortion, and healthcare is by far their biggest lead. Now, of course, there's other issues out there, and we don't know what the biggest issues are going to be at the time of the election. There easily could be one or two things that come up that is not at all on the radar at this point. Something that has come up since this poll in September is the Israel-Hamas conflict. You could easily look in depth on that, but that's something that Biden has lost support from his own party on. Most of that is from young voters that side with the Palestinians. Older voters, they side with Israel. That's tough to navigate if you're Biden, but that goes to show you never know what's going to come up in a couple of months. However, I think the best bet for the Democrats is abortion. It's clear that they've had success on that issue. In fact, I think they've had so much success that if the Supreme Court actually had upheld abortion, then the Democrats would be in a real jam. Then they would have very little to be running on. Healthcare in general is a huge topic, but I don't often see that at the top of the list above these other issues. So it's a little weird, but Democrats absolutely hate the Supreme Court decision on abortion, but they certainly love the political benefit from the fallout. But the other issues out there do benefit the Republicans. The economy, inflation, crime, the border. That could change, but right now, on most of the key issues, Republicans appear to be favored. So if we focus just on Biden and Trump, voters in general don't want either of these guys. You can see it right here. This poll asks how satisfied you would be if either of these was their party's nominee. Joe Biden is at 27% that are very or somewhat satisfied. Donald Trump is only slightly better at 31%. However, if you break it down by party, Democrats are only at 49% very or somewhat satisfied with Joe Biden. Republicans are much more satisfied. They're at 65% with Donald Trump. Independents are 63% somewhat or very dissatisfied with Joe Biden. With Donald Trump, it's a little bit better with independents. He's at 57% somewhat or very dissatisfied. So there's clearly not a lot of love for these two, but I would expect a lot of people to just retreat to their tribal corners, and as much as they're not satisfied and as much as there are other third parties in the race, it's almost certain it is going to be Biden or Trump as the winner. Now let's get into the polling. So right now, in the aggregate, with Biden versus Trump, Trump has an advantage of almost 2%. You can look at the different aggregate sources here, but he's definitely not hitting 50% of the vote. He's at about 45 to 46. Biden is at about 44. There's still around 10% that say other or undecided. Now, if we expand it to a three-way race between Biden, Trump, and Kennedy, Trump still has a similar lead of about 1%, but now both Biden and Trump dip down into the 30s. Kennedy, on average, is putting up about 15%. There's still another 9% that say other or undecided. If we go to a four-way race, this is between Biden, Trump, Kennedy, and Cornel West. Then Trump's lead expands to about 4%. Cornel West gets about 2 to 2.5%. So if we go down to the individual polls, you can see it's back and forth, but this is just between Biden and Trump. And the thing to keep in mind is this is for the national popular vote. Last time Biden easily won the popular vote, but he narrowly carried the battleground states he needed to win the Electoral College. So even if Biden is ahead 2 or 3 points in the popular vote, Trump could still easily win the election. So it's especially concerning for Biden to see Trump ahead sometimes by several points. The polls in 2020 usually did not show Trump with a lead in the popular vote. So there's a lot of time for things to change, but right now in the head-to-head polling, Trump is not looking too terrible. If you keep going down, you can see the individual polls for the 3 or the 4-way race, and they even have a 5-way race between West, Kennedy, and Jill Stein. As of right now, it seems like the more candidates you add, the more it seems like Trump maintains the advantage. But again, this is without the libertarians, it's without No Labels, the Constitution Party, maybe even another independent like Liz Cheney enters the race. When it comes to the polls, I always say take a look at them, but what we're seeing in January or February could be easily different than what we see in September or October, and it all could have little bearing on the actual outcome. Both sides have a case to say the polls have been off in 2016 and 2022. They did seem to underestimate Trump in key states in 16 and in 20. There's no way to tell what's going to happen, but all we can do right now is take a look at the data we have. Now, normally I would go through the individual battleground states to take a look at the polling, but to save some time, I'm going to skip over it. But if you've seen any of my other videos or taken a look at the polls, Trump is overall doing better in the key states, but again, it's super early. The lead could change several times before we get to election day. Now, the last thing we could do is get on PredictIt and take a look at the markets. So here we've got who will win the 2024 U.S. presidential election. As of the time of making this video, Trump has a tiny advantage, 40 cents to Biden's 38. Nikki Haley is down at 10, Gavin Newsom at 8. If you look at the 90-day trend, Biden was ahead for about half of it, but then in November it flipped, and since then, Trump has mostly been the one with the lead. And last we have which party will win the election. Here, Democrats have the small advantage, 52 to 49, and that 90-day trend has shown the Democrats consistently in the lead, although it has slightly narrowed. So what is the conclusion? Well, this is the matchup most voters don't want, but we're going to get it anyway. There's some, but not a lot of enthusiasm for Trump. There's even less enthusiasm for Biden. Most of the key issues do seem to favor Trump and the Republicans. I think the biggest driver behind that is Biden is in power right now, and there's a lot of broad dissatisfaction out there in the country. If you look at the right track, wrong track polls, it's overwhelming. Voters think we're on the wrong track. So that creates an opening for Trump, but at the same time, Trump has a ton of baggage. He's got his trials looming, and if he gets a conviction or he's not on the ballot in the general election, that could create huge problems for Trump. Plus, Trump is not in the spotlight as much as he will be in the general election. So once that happens, it's possible voters start to rally around Biden, maybe independents flip on Trump, maybe the economic sentiment goes way up, maybe immigration gets under control. That's a possibility. But if Biden is still in a weak position in the summer, I would expect him to make some executive orders in time for the election. That's going to stir up his base, especially young voters, which he needs to turn out. Right now, they're not on his side on the Israel-Hamas conflict. They're also upset with student debt cancellation, and abortion is the other issue for Democrats. But if you take out those issues, there's a lot there for Trump to take advantage of. He's got way more energy than Biden, but neither of them are actually debating in the primaries. And then there's the third parties. What kind of ballot access are they going to get? And who are they going to take more votes away from in the general election? There are so many unknowns with this election, I can't possibly have much confidence putting out any predictions at this point. My last prediction had Biden winning, but I definitely think Biden can be beaten, and I think both sides should be prepared to take a win or a loss. There's a lot of pundits out there that say there's no chance Biden could win or there's no chance Trump could win, and the half that gets it right is probably going to gloat, but it's probably going to be narrow, and it could have easily gone the other way, and it's going to be a mess after the election. I would expect whoever loses to say there's either rampant voter fraud or rampant voter suppression. There's going to be all kinds of rationalizing and finger pointing. Both sides are probably going to be a hypocrite to some extent, but I'm sure there's also going to be debate about mail-in ballots, ballot harvesting, signature verification, and voter ID. And both sides are going to have enough reasons to be able to rationalize why they should have actually won. So we're going to see what happens. We'll see what the polls show. We're going to see what the turnout is. We're going to see what the trends are, what the key issues are at the time, who's going to be on the ballot, who the vice presidential pick is for Trump, what's going to happen with the economy, executive orders, the Supreme Court. The list goes on and on and on, but I'm going to leave it there for now. But that's an overview of the 2024 general election. I do plan to keep on covering it, so let me know in the comments, what are any of your thoughts on this general election? Are you prepared for either side to win, or do you think there's no chance one side or the other could possibly win? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.